Hey everyone, welcome to Bald Guy Money. The number of millionaires around the world is declining fast. People who have the bulk of their wealth in paper assets are starting to feel the heat of an overvalued market. And just yesterday, I saw that Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, not to be confused with Fonzie from Happy Days, even though he dresses like him, sold $42 million worth of stock as Nvidia continues its pullback, which is already about 8% down now from its highs of above $500 just a couple weeks ago. And according to estimates from the UBS Global Wealth Report, the number of millionaires worldwide has declined by about 3.5 million. That's more than a 6% decline so far, and why I say so far is because I expect this number to grow as the market continues its slow march to the deep end of the swimming pool. But there is a group of millionaires out there whose net worth has been, at least to a certain degree, insulated from the cold realities of this slowing economy. And that group of millionaires, maybe you are one of them out there watching, I know there are a few millionaires that watch this channel, is the group of millionaires who have a portion of their net worth protected in gold and silver. And in this video, we are going to explore the topic of millionaires with gold and silver to answer the following questions. How many millionaires stack gold and silver? How much gold and silver does the typical millionaire have? And finally, what kind of gold and silver do millionaires typically stack? Now, just before we get into it, I want to tell you all that if you are looking to buy gold and silver, I want you to check out Pimbex.com. And that's because they consistently have some of the best prices from a reputable online dealer. And as I always say, buy the dealer before you buy their product, because there are a lot of dodgy sellers out there these days. So that's Pimbex.com. Their number is here on the screen, and I am linking a direct link to this great deal on silver buffalo rounds they have on their site as I'm making this video. And as you can see, they are cheaper than the competitor dealer I often see on YouTube. So take advantage of that today, as well as other great deals they have on metals on their website. Now getting back to millionaires and their gold and silver holdings. Based on the latest data I have, there are about 52.5 millionaires worldwide today. Again, that's down 3.5 million since the last time I gave you the number of millionaires worldwide. And according to a 2021 survey by CNBC, 16% of millionaires in the USA own gold. That's about 1 in 6. And 11% own silver, which is a little more than 1 in 10. And although I couldn't find definitive data for the world, I did find some 2021 data from the World Gold Council that indicates similar ownership figures for billionaires around the world, at 18% owning gold and 13% owning silver, which leads me to believe that the CNBC numbers are likely applicable to worldwide millionaires. Maybe a few more millionaires stack when you factor in Asia, but this is the assumption we will proceed with because it's the best estimation we have. Which means worldwide, 5.8 million millionaires own silver and 8.4 million millionaires own gold. And with those numbers established, I want to point out a couple very important statistics that separate millionaires from the average person as it pertains to metals before we move on. And the first point is that millionaires and billionaires both own investment silver and gold at higher rates than regular people do. And this is based on calculations we did in my 1% of gold and silver stacker videos. And this, at least for me, is a clear indication that smart money people recognize the value and importance of owning metals more than the average person. Now, the other thing these statistics tell me is that where the average person into metals prefers silver, there are about 6 silver stackers out there for every gold stacker. It's that for millionaires and billionaires, it's the other way around. They prefer gold over silver. So much so that 14% of all investment gold owners are millionaires, which is a major overrepresentation versus millionaires as a percentage of the total world population. Whereas only 2% of investment silver owners are millionaires. And what this tells me is that if I was exclusively a silver stacker today with no gold, I would seriously think about adding a bit of gold to my stack, even if it's just a fractional piece, to get better balance to my portfolio and to be more in line with what smart money is doing. I mean, these people didn't become millionaires because they're dumb, at least most of them. Okay, so now that we've established how many millionaires own silver and own gold, let's figure out how much they have. Using data I gathered from Credit Suisse, CNBC, and the World Gold Council, what I found is that the typical millionaire has anywhere from 0.9% of their portfolio in metals up to about 5.6%. And considering the fact that the median net worth of a millionaire is between 1.6 million and 2.2 million US dollars, this data tells us that a millionaire metals owner, depending on whether they're at the low end at 0.9% or the higher end at 5.6%, has anywhere from $14,400 allocated to metals all the way up to $123,200 allocated to metals. Now, taking this out one step further, if we look at two of the most likely allocation splits for millionaires, a 50-50 split and an 80-20 split, where 80% is gold and 20% is silver, you can see that the typical millionaire who is lighter on the metal side owns anywhere from 126 ounces of silver up to 314 ounces of silver. And when it comes to gold, they own about 4 to 6 ounces of gold. Now, switching over to millionaires who have a higher conviction and allocation to metals, they own a range from 1,076 to 2,690 ounces, troy ounces, I should say, of silver, whilst holding on to 32 to 51 troy ounces of gold. And please keep in mind, we're talking about your middle-of-the-road millionaire based on median numbers. I know for a fact there are high-flying millionaires with kilos and kilos of gold, but these are pretty solid numbers at the end of the day for your typical millionaire next door. And what I found most interesting in these numbers is that at the low end of allocation for your typical millionaire, these numbers are very much in line with my minimum ownership level that I always say is a great target to have to achieve a solid metal savings fund. And if you've heard me talk about that before, you'll know that minimum fund is made up of 5 ounces of gold and 200 ounces of silver. And I just want to mention that because I found it very interesting that those numbers corresponded so closely with what millionaires hold as a minimum themselves. So now that we know how many millionaires own gold and silver, and roughly how much they own within a certain range, it's time to talk about what kind of gold and silver millionaires typically stack. And in my experience, as a person who knows and is in contact with quite a few millionaire stackers that fit this millionaire next door profile, it's that there are two kinds of stackers. First, you have the get it and forget it stackers. These stackers typically buy bars, often Pomp Suisse, Valcombi, and Credit Suisse bars, looking for the best price per ounce or gram, and these stackers typically buy in bulk and hide their metals away, ready to liquidate if other investments they've made go sour. These stackers typically prefer gold and see it as the ultimate protection to their large portfolios. On the other hand, you have the, what I like to call, stack to the future people, and I think I belong to the stack to the future group. These are millionaires who are conscious about the importance of flexibility in a stack and like to be able to liquidate small amounts if needed, but are typically stacking as a savings mechanism in preparation for retirement. And what I'd love for you to do is let us know in the comments section what kind of stacker you are. Do you like to buy in bulk and just forget about it? Or are you stacking smaller amounts over time in preparation for retirement? I'd love to see how the community breaks down and splits between these two groups. Alright, now on to this video's viewer question. And this question comes from Christopher McCormick. Chris is a very loyal viewer of the channel. Thank you very much, Chris, for leaving this fantastic question. And Chris asks, currently, the silver to gold ratio is 83-1. Should I be accumulating more silver in that ratio? And at what ratio would it be wise to accumulate silver or gold? Thanks, Bald Guy. So, to answer this question, I want to show this chart because I think this chart shows the trend clearly. And that trend is that gold is on an upward trend with respect to value versus silver. And my thesis on why this is happening at such a consistent pace is because of central banks stacking more and more gold all the time. As a result of that, I don't expect silver to ever regain, for example, 20-1 ratio. I simply think that at this moment in time, that is an unreasonable expectation. That said, at 83-1, where we are today, I would expect that at some moment in the future, we could easily reach a ratio that's closer to 60-1. And as a result of that, even though I am stacking more gold these days, I'm still purchasing around 30 to 40 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold that I buy. And what I want to add here is that as I've demonstrated numerous times on the channel, whereas gold is probably, let's call it even fairly priced today, maybe slightly underpriced versus our key benchmarks of real estate, the stock market, and some key commodities, silver is severely underpriced when we compare to those benchmarks. So to summarize, is 83-1 a good ratio to buy silver at? Absolutely it is. 100%. Does that mean that you should neglect making gold purchases? In my opinion, it does not. What you do is, of course, your decision. But as I said a moment ago, I think buying 30 to 40 ounces of silver today versus every 1 ounce of gold that I'm buying is the best ratio for me. So thanks again for the question, Chris. Wishing you a fantastic weekend ahead. And just as a reminder for everyone, if you like this content and would like more Bald Guy content, you can join my Patreon. Link to join is in the description and pinned comment. By joining, you get access to tons of extra videos, exclusive videos, I should say, as well as my weekly newsletter and other fantastic updates and stacking tools. So check that out if you're interested. With that said, that's it for this video. Please remember to like and subscribe if you like content like this. Share it with a friend if you think they need to hear this message. And as I always finish my videos with this message, I want to say, take care of yourselves and take care of each other, everybody. I'm wishing you a fantastic weekend ahead. See you in the next one.